I've recorded every single Mythic Plus key that I've attempted in Season 1 of The War Within, and in this series I'm going to cover the highs and lows of each dungeon on my way to pushing to the 0.1% title. In the first episode we ended up at 2,583 Mythic Plus score, so let's get straight into a plus 10 Necrotic Wake that we actually finally timed. We finally broke the curse. The tank seemed very good in this key. I don't know what it is. I feel like sometimes you just get a vibe, or just like you can feel the confidence of the player running through the key. So automatically I knew that this was a decent tank. We did a massive pull at the start. We're back on Frost for this one, so we're doing some big AoE damage and slamming all of our Ice Lancers into the Vanguard. And then after, like I said, the tank knew what he was doing, so he did a small pull after this so that everyone could recover their cooldowns, and then we went straight back into a massive pull again. But the Xal'atath ad actually spawned behind us. I was focused on killing that, and I just completely lost where the group was. So as you can see here, I like frantically panned my camera around like, guys, where are we? Moving on to the first boss then, Blightbone. The Resto Druid actually dies towards the end of the fight for this one. I think he just got himself caught in a bit of a pickle. He was on the other side of the puddle with a carrion worm. So he was trying to get across, probably taking some damage from the fetid gas at the same time as being bitten by the worm. He gets taken out. But we do manage to finish off the boss without him. The warrior actually gets targeted with the Heaving Wretch. I guess he was a night elf, so he shadow melded. It went onto me, and then I just ice blocked it. So it actually worked out nicely, because when I'm playing Frost, I'm also playing with the talent that heals me whenever I use my Ice Cold or Ice Block. Can't remember what it's called. And although I was just raving about how good I thought the tank was, don't get me wrong, he's still a great player, but I just feel like his route could have been a little bit better. You'll see throughout this key, like for instance now, after all of that, after all those efficient pulls, we then just go and pull a Gatekeeper by himself. So yeah, not really sure what was going on with this. Like again here, we're playing two Marauders by themselves. We do get the Xal'atath ad spawning at the same time, so maybe if we're giving the tank the benefit of the doubt, maybe he didn't want to carry that into a big pull. Who knows? But we finish off the Marauders here. Then we move on to the Necromancer pack. And I was literally thinking to myself, right, I press Mirror Image, but just press Ice Barrier. So I was about to press my Ice Barrier, but I just got taken out just before. I would have lived with the Ice Barrier. I just thought instinctively that maybe the Mirror Image would be enough to save me, but it was not. Then we move across the room over to the big Marauder pack with all the corpses. I think the Fury Warrior actually ended up ripping aggro as the tank was gathering everything there. So that's on the Fury right there. That's not really the tank's fault. He was gathering the rest of the mobs. Now, I don't want to blame the tank for this, because I'm always looking to take responsibility so I can play better, right? But the tank, I guess, thought the Rasping Scream was going to go off. I kicked it last second, but because he thought it was going to go off, he rolled out of it, and the Skeletal Marauder went straight into a gruesome cleave after the Scream, and the tank ended up on top of me, so I got taken out by the frontal. I mean, I definitely could have been in a better position so that this would have never happened, but with a Frost Mage, sometimes you do need to play like relatively close to melee so that you can get your Cone of Colds off to reset your Frozen Orbs and also your Comet Storms. Bit of an unfortunate one, but it does happen. Then we jump to the last boss, and my lord, I was getting some insane procs on this last boss. We were getting a ridiculous amount of Frozen Orb resets, which would have been much more appreciated on AoE, but nevertheless, I cannot complain on single target either. And then also just the amount of Splinter Storms that we were generating. I finally got a weak aura for Frost on the left side of my character here. You can see the two little snowflakes. So if they are blue, that means I have 2 stacks of Winter's Chill on the target. But if they are pink, it means that my Splinter Storm is about to apply 2 stacks of Winter's Chill to my target. So I don't have to waste a flurry if I can just go straight into a Glacial Spike, because I know that it's going to be shattered because Winter's Chill is about to be applied. So really nice weak aura there. If you guys want that, let me know down in the comments and I'll link it to you guys. But towards the end of the fight here, we're still sustaining 1.2 mil DPS. I don't actually know if Frost is meant to be good on single target, but I've gotten some really nice results out of it in Mythic Plus. So I guess it is, because I'm definitely no expert yet. So with this key, we had 8 deaths overall, and we only had 2 minutes left. So again, very tight on the timer. Me and the warrior are pumping, and even the monk doing 1.2 mil on the overall here. Ridiculous. We get 20 score out of it, taking us up to 2,603, finally breaking that 2.6k mark, well on our way to 3k. Another off-stream key up next, we go into a Siege plus 11. I think this was, apart from Miss and Arakara, which are kind of the freer dungeons, I feel like this was the first proper 11 that I felt like I was going into, so to be honest, I wasn't that confident that we were going to time it, but we'll see if that was the case. Then we ninja pulled the first boss. I mean, you're not playing a Siege of Borealis if you don't ninja pull the first boss, are you? I don't know how it gets ninja pulled. Literally no idea here. Oh my god. Wait, I just figured out. It looks like my splinters from my Spellslinger hero talents just randomly go and hit the boss. That is insane. Oh my god, it's been me that's ninja pulling it the whole time. I mean, it's no biggie. We do lose a little bit of time from it, of course, but we just kite him out of the room. First boss goes down with no issues. Me and Artie pumping. This is a dreamy fight for Artie. Constant adds up with just able to funnel into the main boss. And then, I mean, even I get some good value out of my splitting ice as well. Then, in best fashion, we get shafted on the packs after the first boss as well. So I kick the cast on the Wave Shaper just before. Then I get the Azerite charge on me. I auto time the initial hit. And then the world just decides to go against me. So I get brackish bolted. Somebody else, I mean, we do have, what is that, 2 or 3 kicks up at the time of it going off. So that could have been kicked. And then I get iron ambushed in the exact same global while the dots ticks me down. So I just go from, again, 100 to 0 pretty much. So, but this is just a story of my life. And you'll see right again here, I make my way back to the pack. I was so fed up at this point. Like I'd had a week of being targeted by multiple mobs and just getting one shot by like almost unavoidable stuff. Don't really know how these shredders work. I don't know if they always leap to the furthest player or what it is, but I get back in. I'm feeling comfy because they're literally about to fall over. They're both on 10% HP. And then wallop. They both instantly ambush me at the exact same millisecond and I just die instantly. Oh, it's good, isn't it? I could have had my ice barrier up, but I mean, I felt pretty comfortable because they were pretty much dead. If I'm taking responsibility and we're trying to grow and learn from this, then I should have used my ice barrier and I should stop feeling sorry for myself that I get double ambush in the exact same millisecond. Second boss went pretty smoothly. Then we move on to the big golem mobs. We did some scary pulls here, but as long as you use your defensives for the crushing slams, that's the main thing. And then you want to be kicking the choking waters as a priority kick, but you also want to be kicking the stinky vomits because that does leave a nasty little dot. To be honest, I thought we were going to wipe on this pack. There is a lot of casters. There's lots of outgoing damage. There's bananas all over the floor, but we do manage to style it out. This healer was a beast, to be fair. The whole way through the key, this healer was performing really well. We got some mega Frozen Orb resets on the third golem here. Unfortunately, there was only 3 mobs present because we would have been pumping damage. But what's that, like 4 or 5 Frozen Orb resets? Insane. I wish that was on the next pack because I would have absolutely slammed damn. Then we move on to the sniper pack. Honestly, one of the scariest packs in here. You just got to make sure that you're on it with your hard crowd control. If you see 2 or more snipers casting on one person, you need to stop those casts with an AoE CC of some sort. So for me, it's Dragon's Breath and Blast Wave. As you can see, both of mine are on cooldown. Then we move on to the commander up the stairs. And apparently, I can greater invis the Azerite charge and it doesn't like retarget. It kind of just goes on cooldown for him. So that's a nice little piece of tech for any mages out there. And I guess hunters would be the same with the Feigned Deaths, rogues would be the same with the Vanish. Stops a nasty dot going out and it's worth it because he doesn't just instantly recast it. Nothing much to report until the last boss on the second platform. I don't really know where the tank was here, but apparently he just wasn't in melee range because the Hole Cracker does go off. So this is the Demolishing Terrors mechanic. When nobody's in melee range, it will do a massive AoE Hole Cracker and that just one-shots me. To be fair, it does look like the tank's still pretty much in melee range, so I don't know if that was just like unlucky. Yeah, I feel like that's not really his fault, to be honest. He dodged the Call of the Deep to the right in the water, it looks like. Maybe he just goes out of melee range. In true Vesp fashion, I thought the key was going to be bricked here on the last boss, but we did recover nicely. They CR'd me. I waited for the Call of the Deep to go out. Then I get up and we do finish off the boss. Not bad. Still having over 2 minutes to spare on a +11 with 4 deaths. Definitely could be doing some more damage as well. But we get 17 score out of this one, taking us up to 2,620. And before we jump into this third key, I just want to give a massive shout out to SteelSeries. They've sent me out their collaboration with World of Warcraft for WoW's 20th anniversary. We've got this headset right here, which is the Arctis Nova 7 wireless headset. I don't think I can ever go back to a wired headset now. The audio quality on these bad boys is perfect, and they are a super comfy headset to wear as well because of this little band right here. Then they also sent me out the Aerox 9 wireless mouse. So everything's wireless. We've got the 12 programmable buttons on the side here because it is an MMO mouse. perfect, obviously, for World of Warcraft, so you can get all your keybinds on there. And then finally, hopefully it will focus, but we've got the Artisan limited edition keycap right there with Sargeras' sword going through the keycap. How sick is that? So I've been whacking that on my escape key. If you guys want to grab any of this gear from the collaboration for WoW's 20th anniversary, then I'll leave a link in the description, so go and check it out. Now we move on to a stream day. We did some nice pulls at the start. I like the way, or the position that the tank tanked the dragon at the start. It allowed us to line of sight the Umbral Wind a lot easier running around this pillar instead of being like all crowded into that little doorway at the start. So I was getting some good vibes from the key so far. Then me and Artie were slamming damage on the first boss, both of us sustaining 1 mil here without lust. And then this is where it all starts to go downhill. Now, this is my fault. I'll take responsibility here. I didn't realize the tank was going around to the left to do a double pull here. I'm so used to just going up to this first Molten Giant pack and pulling that. So I got a little bit too close and ended up ninja pulling. So, right, fair enough. This might have put the tank off of its pull. It definitely made the first pull a lot scarier here, and we did end up with some deaths, probably because of me, because I scuffed the start of the pull. So the grouping of the mobs wasn't as nice, etc, etc. I mean, I do think it is a scary pull anyway. Like, none of us have cooldowns here because we just sent them on the last boss. I will have my Icy Veins coming up, but I mean, yeah, it's definitely a optimistic pull. I think if it's a nicely set up pull, then it's probably doable as long as we have really, really good stops and kicks. But we've got 3 potential Seer Mines coming out here. We've got a Mass Tremor coming out from the Earth Cooler. We've got the Shadow Flame Bolts and the Earth Bolts in between that. The Molten Wakes. We've got the Shadow Flame Slashes on the tank at the same time as the Lava Fist. There is a lot of damage going out in this pack, especially if it's not going to die quickly. We do manage to style it out though, even without the scuffage. So maybe it is a fine pull. It's just, yeah, my cooldowns come up towards the end of it. So I feel like you probably need to do a smaller pull first and then go into your bigger pull. We do end up ninja pulling the boss, but in the middle of all the panic, the mobs did die. So the tank was just like, no, let's send it. So he starts off the pull nicely here. He baits the frontal in a really nice position so that we can take up as little room as possible. And this is where the cracks start to show. Now, we've just styled out that last pull, okay? It's done. Move on. Get on with it. I know that I messed up. You don't need to make a point of it. But the tank, while tanking, says this is why, and I knew what was coming next. You let me pull. He's one of those tanks that's like, you pull, you tank. That's probably exactly how he sounds in real life as well, by the way. I just ignore it, whatever, we'll be the bigger person. I don't have an ego in the video game World of Warcraft. We bait the Molten Sparks nicely next to the Fiery Cleave frontal puddle. And then coming up is the Molten Mace. So tanks need to run away from the boss at this point. He gets like 1000% extra damage or something like that. So you just need to kite him, but you need to kite him along the walls so that he drops puddles in a nice area. I just realized what he's done. So he saw the Forge Mace go off and he thought that that was the Molten Mace Fixate cast. So he started legging it at that point, and then he realized, oh, the Molten Mace has only just begun now. So he's already taken up quite a bit of room here. He's already literally halfway across the room. He's backed himself into a corner while the boss is still channeling its Molten Mace cast. And then the boss just intercepts him across the room and one-shots him. And then, right, okay, fine. It happens. Okay, we'll get him up. No problem. I think maybe Seb CRs him. Get him up. He taunts him back. Instantly falls over again after the frontal. Now remember, this could not possibly be his fault, right? He's one of these players, okay? He's got a massive ego. So he's like, man, I can't believe it. You tilted me so much by ninja pulling that pack before the first boss that I can't even do the mechanic properly on the actual boss. Like, get a grip, mate. Come on. How are you actually blaming me? He didn't even know it was me. He thought it was Artie. So, hey, I let Artie take the blame for that one. But how are you blaming any of us for you dying back to back on the boss because you kited the boss wrong? Bot. Man, I can't stand players like this, so you best believe that he went straight on the ignore list after this. I need to get one of those add-ons where I can like make notes of players, because you best believe I would never be inviting this Blood DK again. So that is the end of that key. GG. Let's move on to a +10 Dawnbreaker. This one we actually do time. Now, this was a little bit of a 5-stack here. I know everybody in the group right here. We weren't on comms or anything. I'm streaming. I don't like to be on Discord with anyone while I'm streaming. I don't know. I'm weird. Pretty confident about this key because this is a good group of players. We go onto the second ship and I get some insane Frozen Orb resets. As you can see by my face here, I could not believe my eyes. We ended up doing, what, over 3 mil, maybe 4 mil DPS on 4 mobs. I always get these crazy Frozen Orb resets when there's not like a bazillion mobs. It's only when there's like 3 or 4, which is annoying. And surely you'd think with the splinters it would scale. But we still got a diff by Artie anyway, so all that RNG and I'm still getting just out DPS by the Shadow Priest. Nice. Move on to the first boss, and the tank does actually fall over to the Obsidian Beam, so we gave him a little bit of stick for this. We just got him up and it was completely fine, but it was memes. Go down into the city of Mereldar around the first mini-boss. It felt like we just kept ninja pulling here, and I couldn't tell if we were actually meaning to constantly chain pull, because I mean, chain pulling's really nice for probably both of me and Artie, but it just felt like we did not leave combat and we were just constantly chain pulling the whole area. I mean, it kind of felt efficient, but that's the thing, I don't know if we were actually meant to pull it all. Then we got the third mini boss. I ended up baiting the Dark Orb into a nearby wall because I was reading chat. That is the extra affix when you're playing with me, is I might be reading chat when a mechanic goes off and I might just one-shot the group. So Wayne does almost die here, but he's a Chad and he survived. Then on this second boss, I realized that every single time the ads spawn, I have my Cone of Cold up pretty much every single time. So whenever the ads do come in, I'm getting a free Comet Storm and Frozen Orb reset, as well as all the CDR on my Frozen Orb from my Blizzard. So actually a really nice boss for Frost. And I can just funnel all of that damage into the boss. And then Artie does the exact same thing on the Shadow Priest. So we are probably really efficient with this boss, to be fair. Take the second boss out with no problems. Just want to cycle defensives for Shadowy Decay. And Dark Orb at this key level, I can just live with a barrier. And then the healer can just top me up afterwards. Move on to the last ship. I do actually end up dying here. I should have just been more prepared with my defensives. I have pretty much every single defensive off of cooldown here. And again, I should, after my Ice Cold or Ice Block, I should be just pressing my Cold Snap, I think. I don't think there's any reason to not press it afterwards. But I get a Tormenting Eruption Beam right at the end as the mob's about to die. So I should have Greater Invis this. I should have barriered. I did end up pressing Mirror Image, but it was like after it had already chunked me down. And that is something that I do keep doing on the mage. I just need to be more proactive with my defensives, because if I get the Mirror Image off for those first 2 ticks, then maybe I don't die. Who knows? But that's pretty much all there is to report. And we do actually end up 2-chesting it. So a nice little 2-chest on a +10. 25 score out of that one, taking us up to 2,645. Very, very nice. Very, very close to Artie on the overall here as well. If I can just sort out my deaths in some of these keys, I think that I could start winning some of these overalls. Like, I don't even necessarily need to get better on my damage. I feel like I should probably be out DPSing him as a Frost Mage anyway. After this, I ended up crafting a Binding of Binding. Now, I'm not going to go into it too much because I'll just tilt myself again. But basically, Seb, who I pretty much always play with, he's on Org, and the Binding of Binding is BIS for them, I think. So he crafted it not knowing that the other player should or has to also craft it. So he was like, do you want to craft this? It's going to be good. And I think it is good for the group. I don't know how good it is necessarily for my own personal damage, but yeah, we're now 621 after crafting that, so real nice. Then as you can see here, I just want to quickly show what my dungeon breakdowns are looking like right now. So we've got Arakara, Mist, and Siege timed on 11. We've got a 2-chested 10 Dawnbreaker, and then we've got everything else timed on a 10. So that's what 2,645 score kind of looks like. My short-term mission is to get everything timed on a +11, and then we will make the jump into the +12s, because that's when you get the Xalatath's Guile, and that's where keys become a lot harder. So we ran a +11 miss here, which I think was just one of our keys. We didn't really have any nice keys for score. So I wasn't even really thinking that this was going to end up anywhere because I've already timed this. But we do actually end up getting some score out of it at the end because we timed it a little bit quicker. Take out the first boss, no issues. I send my cooldowns just before the maze on the 2 mobs. Probably shouldn't have done that, but I just feel like with Frost Mage, with your shifting powers and the Xalatath affix this week, you just get so much cooldown reduction that it's just worth it to send. I mean, I wasn't really caring too much about this key anyway, so Seb had something to say because he was saving his breath for the next room, but then it turns out that the breath actually lined back up with my Icy Veins in the next room, so we had big damage for that room. But generally, this was a really clean key, and that's why we got some score out of it at the end. The ret was pumping here. I didn't realize rets are pumping. I haven't really seen, I think this might be the first ret that I've played with this season. After Mistcaller, we did some humongous pulls at the end. We do the standard double pull with the first Staghorn. And then after that, we actually end up doing another double pull. I don't even know, was this going into a triple pull? Let me just have a look. okay, yeah, it's a triple pull, but I don't get to see it because my blinks were both on cooldown. And as I saw the puddle under me, I spammed my blink, realized I didn't have my blink, and then I just panicked and it had accepted my death at this point. So my first thought was, right, I'm dead. My first thought should have been alter time, and then blink again. But I'm not quick enough on the mage just yet. So I did end up missing out on a hell of a lot of damage here, which was really sad because this looks like a really fun pull. Yeah, I just died like a stupid idiot. So we do actually end up 2-chesting this key, so that's why we get some score out of it. We get +3, taking us up to 2648. Like I said, I wasn't going to include this key, but then I got some score at the end, so I have to document every single time I get score. Otherwise, you guys are going to be like, Vesp, you're not including everything. Same stream, this time Relentless gets on, and we also have Schmied for this key. We're doing a +11 Dawnbreaker. We had some really nice keys during this stream, to be fair. Except for the Grim Batol at the start. I think everything was timed. Nothing to really learn from in the first area. We get the first boss down, no problems. Go down into the city of Mereldar. And I did not realize how wide the cone is of the Black Edge frontal. You can see the dark purple here, but apparently, I don't know why Blizzard do this. Like, I don't know if it's for aesthetic purposes or not, but just make hard, straight edges on the edges of frontals and also swirlies, because this one, apparently I'm stood in it, but it's like the faintest outline as it sort of like fades in and blends in with the rest of what's going on around. Very, very embarrassing, but I mean, it's really, really not that visible. Then as we're chugging down this first mini-boss right towards the end, I do actually get myself caught in a terrifying slam. I don't die, but I just did not realize that like I'm slightly just inside the circle. Luckily I didn't die, but yeah, I obviously should not be standing in the big purple circle. After the first mini-boss, we go outside and do a big pull with this one caster, and I was getting some huge, finally, we're getting some huge Frozen Orb resets on a semi-decent sized pull. So we end up doing around 4.5 mil here. Artie does overtake us at the end as his Twist of Fate kicks into gear. Skipping over to the third mini-boss, I end up dying because I didn't realize that the Abyssal Blast was on me. I feel like I need to get a weak aura that kind of highlights. I had one in the season 3 of Dragonflight, and it highlights my big, scary debuffs on me that I can put like above my character frame or something like that so that I'm more aware. Because if I'd known the Abyssal Blast was on me at the same time as the Dark Orb was going out, then of course I press a defensive, but I just didn't realize, so I just thought I was going to live the Dark Orb for free, but I do get taken out. Skipping over to the last boss, I tried to do some alter time tech where I used my alter time for the erosive spray. I wanted to go over, pick up the bomb, and then alter time back so that I was closer to the boss and also had regened all my health. But I panicked and just pressed alter time before I even picked up the bomb. So yeah, not ideal from me there, but you know, it happens. And then we do end up timing this with around 5 minutes left. We weren't even too far off of a 2 chest here, so if I hadn't had some stupid deaths, then I think we would have got this on the 2 chest. But we get 13 score out of that, taking us up to 2661. So some really nice score gains from this stream. That was it for that stream though, so let's move on to some necrotic wake action. And by action, I mean lots of deplete action, basically. I've moved back to my sister's now, so the Wi-Fi is very, very questionable. I've been at my cousin's for 2 weeks and I had no issues whatsoever. So we do actually have some disconnection issues during these necrotic wakes. Plural, because there's a lot of depletes coming up. So I was fancying a bit of arcane. I was really trying to go for some... I was trying to prioritize my priority damage a lot in this key and just kind of be the one that takes out all of the scary mobs while the DK and the Asa Rogue just do all the AoE. But as you can see, this Vanguard's pretty much died before everything else. So we're doing our job. It seemed like we had a really nice group here. So like after the first couple of pulls, I was actually feeling kind of optimistic about this key, but not for much longer. On the first boss, the healer actually gets taken out. He could have maybe Guardian Spirited himself, but he just eats the Heaving Wretch with maybe no defensives. I don't know if he presses Desperate Prayer or that was probably already on cooldown. I feel like he got a few of the Heaving Wretches, to be fair. But I don't know what it was, because this boss only took 2.5 minutes, but it felt like this boss took forever. Is 2.5 minutes long? I don't really feel like it is. I feel like once you start getting into the 3-minute territory, that's where you start feeling like, okay, this boss is slowing down the key. Then let's move on to Amarth. Nothing else really happened in the middle of the key here. I end up dying on Amarth. My kick is on cooldown, and even though the boss on my plater, but also the Blizzard frame, says it's targeting the tank, it necrotic bolts me. So Blizzard, please sort that one out. because I wouldn't have, but I could have pressed a defensive and maybe lived there. But yeah, there's not much I could have done about it, or it doesn't look like not much any of the group could have done about it because all of our kicks are on cooldown. I guess my health was just kind of sat kind of low. Like I'm sat on 50% HP there for like a good 3 seconds. So maybe the healer could have just topped me up in time. I don't know. But I feel like there's not really much I could have done about that. And then the final harvest goes off with 2 warriors alive. So the boss one-shots the whole group at 1% HP. And that is the key done. GG. Maybe they could have just turreted all of their damage into the boss instead of trying to get the ads down at the last second, and that would have taken it out. But again, like millisecond decisions, it's hard to make the right one for sure. What do you know? We're back in Necrotic Wake 11. So like I was mentioning, back at my sister's now. So on the way to the first boss, we actually end up pulling the first boss and I think lusting as well. And then the internet just goes boom. So I disconnect. I thought I was logging back in here to me being dead and then therefore depleting the key. But luckily I was still alive, so I just need to play catch up on the boss and do some big damage. On the first pull upstairs, the tank actually falls over. I think it's the double necrotic bolt. I didn't really think about that. That probably quite badly affects blood decays, doesn't it? So we instantly get him back up and he does manage to get aggro back on everything pretty much instantly. So fair play to him. And we do carry on the pull. Again, playing the skeletal marauders by themselves. You really don't have the time to be doing that in these higher keys, I don't think. Especially not once you get to like +12s and onwards. And then again, dying to the final harvest on Amar. Very interesting. These two might be the only 2 times that I have ever wiped to final harvest. So not sure what was going on today. I know that I got really unlucky with like AoE procs when the ads were spawning. So I couldn't do much damage to them. I even tried to just arcane surge the last crossbowman up at the end just to kill him before the final harvest goes off, but it does not work. And that is another key. That's another necrotic wake down the drain. And the final necrotic wake for this episode. We're back with the 5 stack, so feeling confident about this key, you know? And it does go well for the most part until it doesn't. So the first pull, I feel like it just lasted a little bit too long. We do also ninja pull a gatekeeper in it looks like, so I don't think we were meant to do that. It's not the end of the world as long as we use our defensives properly. And to be fair, even though I was funneling all of my damage here into the priority mob, look, we're doing 7 mil, 8 mil on Arcane. Holy! We're finally learning, boys. And although we were both blasting, I mean, RC sustaining 10 mil here, we still had 2 vanguards up at the end. I should have just killed one. This is probably my fault. I didn't actually realize that we had 2 vanguards up. I feel like their nameplates were hidden. So I started hitting the Shaper, and the Shaper was the highest HP mob. So I was trying to get that down, but to save the tank, I should definitely be on the vanguards because they are the tank busters in here. Not the end of the world, though. We only have 2 deaths, but I mean, that's still 30 seconds. Blizzard, please, please change this bloody Challenger's Peril affix. Moving on to Shancross, also known as Blightbone. Boss is going well, nothing to report. We do end up pulling another Gatekeeper. I mean, we're getting 3% here. As long as we live, then it's kind of fine. We want to use big defensives for the Wrath of Zolramus. Definitely makes the pull scarier, but it is definitely still doable. It's not like once you pull one of these Gatekeepers that the key's over or it's definitely a wipe. We do end up losing Seb to the Heaving Wretch at the same time as the Wrath of Zolramus. I assume that he was out of defensives there. So that is an unfortunate overlap, and obviously he wouldn't have died if we didn't ninja pull. Then apparently the mini boss upstairs has true sight. I cannot tell you how many times I skipped this mob on the beta, but apparently now, yeah, he can see through stealth. So I was not feeling confident. I don't know why, because like I'm normally fine with doing this skip even without stealth, but I just went stealth to make sure that I didn't enter the key, because now we're taking 15 seconds off the timer if we do die, but he had true sight, so we end up dying anyway. Then because I was so confused that he had true sight, I was talking to the group and asking, did he have true sight in beta? And then I was reading Artie's reply as I ran in front of the gruesome cleave here. Just lost all concentration because I was so confused about what had just happened. So cheers, Vesp. 30 seconds off the timer there. Nice one, mate. And holy moly, we were pumping on Amarth, dude. Sustaining over 2 mil for the whole fight. I think I was getting some insane Arcane Soul procs into the ads. And also some just nice Orb Barrage procs and procs in general when the ads were coming up. And then also slamming boss damage at the same time. That's what I love about Arcane, man. Like, you just do so much priority damage at the same time as also being able to do some nice cleave damage. And then this is where things got interesting upstairs. So, Burak is the tank. and his shield actually broke. So from now on, what we're doing is we're ! shield checking in chat to see what durability my tank has on his shield, so that he doesn't have to kite around the room like a headless chicken. And for whatever reason, he couldn't use the auto hammer as well. So I don't know, wait, is that a combat thing? Can you repair in combat? I'm sure you probably can, right? But maybe that's why he couldn't, because he couldn't repair from the auto hammer, so he literally just had to kite around in circles. He ended up dying. We lost a lot of time. So yeah, that was definitely a new experience. I've never had a tank shield break during a random mob fight. I don't know what was going on there. Hilarious nonetheless though. But it turns out that, like, at this point, I think we had all kind of written off the key and we were like, okay, that's done. But it was still timeable. The amount of priority damage, like, it's, you can feel the difference when you go from Arcane to Frost. Like, we're almost one-phasing the boss on a +11 without Bloodlust. With Bloodlust on a +10, I feel like on Frost, we're barely even scraping a one-phase. So it's just ridiculous how much more boss damage Arcane actually ends up doing. So it barely even takes a minute and a half to get this boss down. And then we realize, oh, we've still got 4 minutes left for the last boss with Bloodlust. So we're like, wait, what? Timeable? But I think the panic got to us and we do end up depleting the key anyway. What we should have done is, like, me and Artie were just so set on our cooldowns. But the thing is, so we're still trying to figure this out, to be fair, because Seb's blown his load, right? He's sent all his Org stuff. He sent all his Breath of Eons. He's got the Ebb and Might up on us. So me and Artie are still in our cooldowns. We're still pumping damage. So I Greater Invis, the Dark Exile. It retargets to Artie. He Shadow Melds. It retargets to Seb, who then gets sent down. But yeah, I don't really know how to tackle this. Like, we're trying to figure out our cooldowns here, because I think personally, in an ideal world, it's Seb that gets sent down, right? Because he's the augmentation evoker. I don't know what he did downstairs. I don't know if he purposely died or if he actually just cannot kill the ad as an Aug evoker without his cooldowns. I'm not sure how that works. But yeah, it's just something that we'll figure out down the line, especially with the Xalatath ad that we've got this week with a cooldown reduction. Like, we don't want to be just sat around wasting any cooldown reduction if we don't send our cooldowns off the rip, right, with Lust. So I eventually get sent down anyway, and then when I come back up, I don't know what, like, why did I not just blink out of this puddle? I have, like, what am I doing? I didn't really have, I could have health potted as well, but I was so low when I came back up. But I mean, I blink and I live there, right? But I guess I was trying to kind of pair up the puddles on the floor. But that's the key done anyway. To be fair, I don't think we were even going to time it. We had 50 seconds left to do 40-50% of the boss HP, so with the shields on top of that, so it was probably a GG anyway. But that is where we're going to leave it for this episode. So we managed to get up to 2661 in this video, well on our way to 2.7, and I mean, I'll be disappointed if we don't hit that in the next episode. But if you did like this video, then drop a like down below, subscribe to your boy. There's going to be plenty more episodes of these coming, and until next time, I'll catch you guys later.